Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Liam Douglas here from Roxborough, North Carolina, and in today's video I'm talking about the Fujifilm XF16 to 55mm f2.8 LMWR lens, which is one of the red badge lenses. It's part of their Holy Trinity. But before I get into that, I wanted to remind you to check out the Liam Photography podcast. You can find it anywhere the podcasts are found, and I have a massive back catalog of 359 episodes that you can go back and listen to at your leisure. All right, so let's take a look at this lens. So this is, like I mentioned a moment ago, one of Fujifilm's Holy Trinity lenses, the red badge designated lenses. They have the 8 to 16 2.8, the 16 to 55 2.8, and the 50 to 140. Which give you the same equivalent focal lengths in 35mm terms as 12 to 24, 24 to 70, and 70 to 200 if you're shooting in any of the full frame camera systems. So this lens is weather sealed. It does have the newer Fujifilm linear motor for the autofocus, which is fantastic. The front element is 77mm for your filters, and as I mentioned a moment ago, it does f2.8 all the way to f22. It is an APS-C format lens, of course. The angle of view is 85.2 degrees to 29 degrees, and the minimum focus distance is 11.81 inches or 30 centimeters. Now, the maximum magnification is 0.16 times. It has 17 elements in 12 groups, and it has a 9-bladed aperture diaphragm to give you nice round bokeh. Now, the dimensions on the lens are 3.28 by 4.17 inches, which is 83.3 by 106 millimeters. And the length at maximum extension is 5.08 inches or 129 millimeters. Now, this is a beefy lens. It's big, and it's a little bit heavy at 1.44 pounds or 655 grams, but it's not a super terrible lens to use. Like I said, it's a little bit bulky, a little bit heavy, but it is a good high-quality lens, and on a decent-sized camera body like an X-T4 or something like that, you shouldn't have too much trouble with it. It would also balance well on something like the XH2, which I've been borrowing from Fujifilm, along with this lens for the last couple of weeks. Now, it does also have the aperture ring on it, which is something most everybody that shoots Fujifilm loves to see on their lenses because we're all big into the physical controls on our cameras. We like to have as many of those physical controls as possible, just as a nostalgia type thing. All right, so here's the 16 to 55 paired with the Fujifilm XH2 mirrorless camera. Now, this camera, of course, is more of a DSLR styling. It looks just like most any of your DSLR cameras on the market. With the larger beefy grip and all of that goodness. It's one of their two new 40 megapixel censored cameras. I personally prefer the body styling of the XT line, so I would be more inclined to buy the XT5 instead of the XH2. But this is a phenomenal camera, don't get me wrong. And partnered with this lens, it is incredible for both video and stills. I'd show you a comparison of the size of this lens in comparison to the Fujifilm XF18 to 55 2.8 to 4 lens, but that's actually the lens I'm filming with today, so it'd be kind of hard to show you both lenses side by side while I'm filming with that particular lens. But I'm going to go ahead and share some sample images with you in this video that I took over the last couple of weeks while my wife and I were in the southern tier of New York / Pennsylvania visiting family and friends for the 4th of July holiday. I did manage to get some really cool images. I did a little walking about the city of Elmira, got some photographs of some of the street artwork there, not graffiti, but actual murals that are painted by local artists, as well as some shots of our grandkids and just some other random objects. So I'll go ahead and share those still images with you now as part of this video, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so as you can see, I was able to get some absolutely stunning images with this particular lens, the 16 to 55. That f2.8 aperture is phenomenal. You get fantastic low light performance, great depth of field when you're shooting at f2.8 or f4, either one. Now, optically, this lens is fairly perfect. Quite flawless. It doesn't have any issues with chromatic aberration that I noticed. I didn't see any issues with softness in the corners or contrast issues or anything like that. Now, I don't do the full lens, test shots with the special board and all that stuff. If you want to see that stuff, you can watch other people's YouTube videos on this lens. There are plenty of them out there. I believe that Chris and Jordan did a review of this lens back when they were still with DP Review TV, so you can check their review out, as well as I believe Pete Coco has done a review on this lens as well, where he used a test chart and all that good stuff. But I'm not going to bore you with all of that. Like I said, there's plenty of other places where you can get that kind of information on this particular lens. So is this lens for you? Well, that's a good question, and to be honest, in order to answer that question, it's going to come down to whether or not you're a working professional, or if you just have a lot of money and you're burning a hole in your pocket that you want to spend. The lens sells for $1,200 brand new. You can find them sometimes used for $500 to $600, which is a much better bargain for the lens. But if you're a full-time working professional, then $1,200 for this lens is no big deal, especially to have one of the three lenses in the Holy Trinity 2.8 aperture lenses, like I said, with the 8 to 16, the 16 to 55, and the 50 to 140. But if you're not a working pro, you don't necessarily need this lens. You can get really great performance from the Fujifilm 18 to 55 f2.8 to f4, which is a kit lens that comes with many of Fujifilm's bodies. I do have that lens. That is a stellar lens as well. Without a whole lot in the way of optical defects, you can get some amazing images with that lens as well. Now, granted, you can't shoot at f2.8 throughout all the focal lengths on that particular lens, but you can still get really amazing, clean, crisp, contrasty images with the 18 to 55, just like you can with the 16 to 55 2.8. All right, that is going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch it. Please remember to subscribe to my channel down below and check out the official rules for my 10,000 subscriber giveaway, where one lucky winner has a chance to win a brand new Viltrox 75mm f2.8 Pro lens for the Fujifilm X mount. So make sure you get your entries in and stay tuned to this channel for the announcement of the winner once the channel hits 10,000 subscribers. All right, that's going to wrap this one up. I will see you all in the next video.